Don't mind your business. Mind my podcast, Mind Elixir. Hi, and welcome to or back to my podcast, Mind Elixir. I'm so glad that you could make it here. My name is Ayoka, and I like to help others feel less alone by sharing my own stories and experiences and stuff that hopefully other teens can relate to on this podcast. Today, I wanted to talk about things that I wish I knew in middle school. Basically, a letter to my middle school self, except it's not going to be in letter format because that would be weird. And plus, this is a podcast, and I feel like that would be too formal to actually do it in a letter. I am recording this episode on Wednesday, literally the day that I am supposed to release it. I was supposed to release it. I know there's starting to be a trend of inconsistency on my part going on here. Um, I don't know, maybe I'll try to edit this episode super fast and I'll get it up by 12 a.m. on midnight of today. Which, by the way, happy St. Patrick's Day. I don't know if people actually celebrate that or like if that's only an American thing or an Irish thing. I don't know. But happy St. Patrick's Day. And I don't know whether I've actually ever mentioned it or not, but Ayoka is actually my middle name. Like, nobody in real life actually calls me Ayoka usually. I don't know, some people might, but mostly no one does. I just decided that this would be the name I go by on my podcast. And I also signed up for this Woman of Color conference this week over spring break, which I think is going to be via Zoom. So I'm kind of excited to see how that's going to be. It's basically about women of color in STEM, activism, politics, etc., all of that. So that seems interesting. And also partially another reason that this episode is kind of coming out late and I didn't really have time to record it was because I am painting my room. If you don't already know, my room was a dark purple color before, and now I painted it this pastel sort of lighter purple color, and it looks really pretty. It's sort of in the thing, it was called a euphoric lilac. And yeah, it is that. Although it's not really that big of a change, it's just dark purple to light purple. I still like it quite a bit. And yeah, my spring break has been going great so far. And I know I said I was going to make a website for my podcast, but then I forgot. But then I signed up for WordPress again. And so maybe I'll spend some more time the rest of the spring break trying to make a website for my podcast. Who knows? Anyway, now to the main topic of my episode, things I wish I had known, or if I could go back and tell my middle school self something, things that I wish I could tell her, sort of thing. So I feel like middle school is kind of a precursor thing that sort of helps us prepare for high school. At least I hope it did. I haven't actually been to high school in person because of Corona and quarantine and all that. But basically, I just wanted to take this episode to reflect and on things that I wish I could have done, I guess, and maybe to help other people in middle school, kind of like an advice for my younger self sort of thing. So the first thing is gossiping less. That's, oh my gosh. The reason I have this here is because I used to feel like I used to gossip or get involved in drama quite a bit. Well, not involved in drama, but I would talk about drama quite a bit. I would talk about it with people that I was friends with or with other friends and all of that. And usually it wouldn't be me bringing up or starting to talk about someone else or starting the gossip. But in particular, it was one of my quote unquote friends, or basically she would always talk bad about other people and make assumptions about them. And then I would just go along with it as well. Like basically the only time she ever talked to me, most of the time, the only time me and her ever talked was to talk about other people, to gossip, to be quite honest. And it is, of course, partially my fault too, because I should have just shut down the conversation or distanced myself from that topic in other ways or just changed the conversation and stopped it. But I guess I was kind of just desperate for someone to talk to or something to talk about. So I just continued it. In fact, she and the other people that I was friends with, who our friendships may have only been built on gossip, probably talked about me behind my back as well, too, which is honestly just a fake friendship. Because if most of the talking between you and your friend just consists of talking about other people, gossip and all that, then maybe you guys weren't really ever really friends to begin with. That's what I need to think about. We probably weren't ever really friends to begin with. And I honestly do feel bad about whoever I've ever gossiped or talked bad about because most of the time they weren't rude to me. I wouldn't have wanted someone to say bad things about me or make assumptions about me. So I shouldn't have done that about other people. You know what I mean? And usually, I feel like most of the time, the reason people gossip, it's because they're bored and desperate and just insecure. So they try to find attention and faults in others' ways and actions. But like gossip, it's just not that great of a thing, to be honest. And most of the time, this gossip, this drama, it didn't actually genuinely impact me. It was just something more interesting than me, you know? And I think that's the reason most people do get gossip or get involved in drama because they're bored. They don't want the focus to be on themselves, so they make it about someone else because they find talking about other people more interesting or whatever, or finding faults in other people, even though technically we shouldn't be all involved in other people's business and all of that. The next thing is not chasing after boys. Well, okay, so I wouldn't say that I chased after boys or anything, no. But I would say that I shouldn't worry about if someone has a crush on me or not. Like, to be honest, I remember I would always think, oh my gosh, is someone going to ask me to this middle school dance, this spring fling? And I would always wonder, am I going to get an anonymous Valigram? Of course, neither of those happened. And I should not have let that affect me. And I get why I thought that and why I wanted that because it's kind of like a thrill of having someone, I guess you could say, want you. But at the same time, I wish I could tell myself not to search for my worth in others. And when I say this, I mean that I didn't really feel great about myself. So instead, I would hope that someone else would like me so that I could get the validation from them and feel wanted. Not that I wasn't wanted, but I don't know. I just felt like I had to search for that in other people because if someone had like a romantic interest, I guess you could call it. That sounds so weird. What the heck? If someone had a romantic interest in me, then I was definitely wanted and valid or something. But honestly, whenever I focus on myself instead of things like drama and whether someone has a crush on me or not, or whether I get a Valigram. Oh my goodness. I remember I would see other people, they'd be like get like 20,000, okay, not 20,000, just 20 Valigrams. And I would be like so sad with my one, usually one or zero Valigrams. I would just be so sad. But that doesn't even matter. Wait, do you know what a Valigram is? I don't think I explained that. A Valigram is just basically a paper with wait, what the heck? You just go pay for it at school, like 25 cents for it, and then you can send it to someone. And then they distribute it during the class time, like a paper with a piece of candy attached to it with a cheesy message like or maybe Halloween message. They also did those on Halloween too. Some cheesy message and you can send it to your friend, your crush, whoever. That's what a Valigram is. And yeah, I think that instead, whenever we focus on ourselves instead of things like drama and who has crushes on us, those other opinions fall away and we can truly start to see our own worth or begin to learn how to see our own worth instead of looking for it in other people like I occasionally sadly should not have, but I did sometimes. The next thing is find people that you trust. So this one is especially important because although I feel as though I kind of talked about this on another episode, I'm not quite sure whether I talked about it or not because I don't want to go back and listen to my old episodes because I feel like if I listen to my old episodes, then I would die of cringe. But even though I have a podcast, I honestly only listen to my episodes like 3 times. Whenever I'm editing, I listen to it. And then whenever I'm done editing, I listen to it again to check for any final edits. And then I listen to it again the day before I publish it on my phone. But I think anyone can start a podcast. Even if you feel like insecure or self-conscious about your voice, that's fine. You literally just get used to it after a while. And like you can just edit out any mistakes. Don't edit it out too much, but yeah. back to the topic because I kind of went on a tangent right there. I was saying I would tell myself to find people that you trust and don't just trust anyone. Like, don't just tell anybody personal details about you, especially if you know they're untrustworthy. I know that there's always that feeling that you want to overshare, or you just feel like you want to just tell anyone, the nearest stranger you meet, everything about your life, but you need to stop because oversharing, whenever people know things about you, then they can like use that against you, I guess you could say, or people will try to use what they know about you to their advantage and all that. I remember this one girl, let's call her, wait, what's a common name? Sarah. Let's call her Sarah. This If there's an actual Sarah, I'm not talking about you, but I just used a common name. Okay, there's this one girl, Sarah. Like, I told her what, oh my gosh, I was so messy in middle school. Anyway, so like, she was like, who do you have a crush on? And then I told her, I just made up someone that I had a crush on. And then she told me who she had a crush on. But then it turns out that she had actually lied about having a crush on this person that she told me, and I had lied too. But then she went and told the boy that I had said that I had a crush on, that I had a crush on him, even though I didn't. And then that was just all of that. Yeah, we love that. So moral of the story, bottom line, find people you trust. Don't tell things about yourself or things you wouldn't want other people to know to people that are talkative and nosy and don't know how to keep a secret. And that was just one instance. I'm sure there's other things, other times in life when it would benefit both of us and everyone to just keep your mouth shut and not overshare details of your life to other people. And just find someone that you trust and that trusts you as well. It's got to be mutual because you don't want to be with someone that's distrustful of you and is always lying to you about simple things about their life. And yeah, just find people that you trust and trust your friends as well because you want the people around you to be trustworthy, to be kind, to for you to be able to understand them and be nice to them and all of that. The next thing is to be less judgmental. This was actually also my New Year's resolution for this year, but I would tell myself to be less judgmental of others. Like, I used to judge people for the littlest things, when in reality, I don't know what they're going through in their life. I'm sure everyone has a lot of things that they're going through in their life, and I shouldn't let one of their actions determine how I treat them or let that form my whole opinion of them. But if it is multiple actions, then yeah, you can probably put those puzzle pieces together and like understand who they are as a person. But just one small action that may have been a mistake, I shouldn't let that form my whole opinion of them. And people can change. And while some bits or things that a person may do are slightly unforgivable, a lot of the time it could be someone just having a bad day. I mean, how many times have you had a bad day? All the time. And I would tell my just self to just stop and think, is this how I would want? Would I want someone to judge me off of my worst day? No. So that's what I would tell myself, which kind of leads me to my next point about not holding grudges. So, like I said, people can change and they don't always owe you an explanation for that. I mean, yeah, I just wouldn't want someone to judge me off of one small thing I did or hold a grudge for something that I've done. So I shouldn't do the same to others. And I would tell, like, if someone hurt me in the past, they probably didn't mean it. Because people can change. That was middle school. We were all young, and we still are. So yeah, the next thing I would tell myself is don't post just anything on social media. So in the early days, whenever I had Instagram, I believe I got Instagram in late seventh grade, in January of seventh grade. So in the early days, whenever I had Instagram, I would always just post anything that comes to my mind. Now I realize that if I see something that makes me angry, I should take a step back and evaluate it before posting about it or saying something about it. And I need to cool off for a minute before I post what comes to my mind. And same with messages. Like I need to chill sometimes rather than some sending someone an angry text message or getting into a comment section argument, which that actually didn't happen a lot. Surprisingly, I didn't get in many comment section arguments. I need to take like an hour to recollect myself and then decide what my next course of action would be, so I don't do or say anything that I will regret. And now I see how like it can be easy for some people to be canceled. I mean, obviously I wasn't making any rape jokes or saying racial slurs or posting nudes. That's like really crazy. I would not do that. But still, it's just important to be cognizant and aware and thoughtful of what you post on social media, because like they said, something that you post on social media can be out there forever. Like someone can screenshot it and try to use it against you or something. So, yeah, just be careful and aware. That's what I would tell myself, my eighth grade, seventh grade, because I didn't have social media in sixth grade, but that's what I would tell myself. The next thing I would tell myself is don't stick with toxic people and that not everyone has to like you. So the reason I say this is I shouldn't have felt pressured to stay friends with people that were hurting my well-being or mental health or just putting a strain on me in general, or or people that I just felt that I had to put a constant quote unquote mask on for whenever I interact with them. I shouldn't have felt pressure to stay friends with them. Like it's okay to distance yourself or set boundaries from people that you just don't vibe with, that you don't connect with, that you just don't feel are right for you to be friends with, you know? And not everyone has to like you. Don't have to convince everyone to like you. Not everyone has to like you, and you don't have to like everybody. But you don't have to try and force friendships that aren't meant to be, because some friendships just aren't meant to be. If someone's toxic, or even if someone just you guys just don't vibe, you don't have to try and force that friendship. You can instead just come to a mutual understanding, and that's okay. And I think the reason I would often try to stay friends with people that just weren't that great for me or were slightly toxic to me was because I felt that I had no one else and that I'd be left alone if I wasn't their friend anymore. And was that true? Partially, in the sense that I did not have that many people left for me to be friends with when I ended those friendships. But I still had people that were there for me. And most importantly, I had myself and I felt better. So prioritize you. The next thing I would say, tell myself, is to stand up for things that you believe in and not to let others push you around. I think it's important to know where you stand and defend your own values and help others whenever you know it's right. You know, if you see something, say something. Like, cuz I feel like whenever I didn't speak up for something, or whenever I saw something wrong going on and I didn't say something, that like literally haunts me forever, and I just start overthinking about it and thinking about it again and again. So it's better to just speak up in the moment and stick to your values and what you know is right in the moment than to just be quiet and let something wrong happen. I mean, it wasn't anything super extreme that was wrong happening, but just in general. I can't really think of a specific example right now. I also asked people on my Instagram at mindelixir what they would say to their middle school selves, and here are a few. The first one we have is you don't have to compare yourself to your peers. Yeah, I think I've touched on this before, but comparison is honestly just not the move most of the time. It can just make you feel bad about yourself and what you're doing. We should measure our own worth and our own progress by our own standards. As long as you're doing your best, you're trying your hardest, and you're learning and succeeding and improving and progressing, then that's good enough. That's great. You know, just keep doing your best. The next submission was study from day one. And yeah, I also agree with this, because honestly, so many times we just need to get our priorities in check rather than getting wrapped up in friend drama and and boy drama or crush drama and other things. We should focus on our studies and our schoolwork, because what you do in school can really impact your high school and your future as well. I'm not saying to put schoolwork above all else, but just try not to, don't get distracted by petty little things that won't matter in a while, that won't matter in the long run. You know what I mean? Focus on school itself and doing the best that you can. And if you ever need help, whether that's mental health wise, school wise, maybe with your hobbies or whatever, reach out to someone that you trust, that you know you can help you, whether it's a friend or a teacher, a parent, guardian, adult, or someone online. Reach out to them. Don't be afraid to reach out to people. The next thing is, if someone brings up something that you can't change in 3 seconds, then screw them. Yeah, I think I've heard this before, but yeah, don't listen to other people's opinions too much, because so many people have said things about my appearance, voice, etc. back in middle school, and it will probably start happening again whenever we go back to high school. And I shouldn't have let that stuff negatively impact my day. Don't give someone's negative voice control over you or power over your day. You know what I mean? And of course, I'm not completely innocent in the whole making remarks about other people sort of thing. I have sort of had my fair share of saying things about other people that probably weren't that nice. It goes both ways. I shouldn't be commenting negatively on aspects of other people if it's things that they can't control and if they're not hurting anyone. And I shouldn't listen to what other people are saying constantly if it's insignificant little things. You know what I mean? And thank you to those that answered. Those were very much appreciated. And yeah. Also, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I know I always say that, but I don't think you understand how truly grateful I am for each person that listens and supports in the ways. And yeah. Also, anyone that supports me, whether it's in messages and emails, which I actually received an email and a few messages this week, which were so sweet. I was reading an email before I recorded this, and I was like, "Aw." And yeah, whether it's leaving reviews on Apple Podcast or following my Instagram, commenting on my post, which, by the way, screenshot the episode if you're listening and you have Instagram, and you can tag me at mind.elixir if you want, or even just listening. And yeah, that is it for today's episode. Make sure to share it, tag me while you're listening, or you can DM me or email me, whatever, and let me know what you thought of it. Bye. I hope you have a lovely rest of the day.